Hi, guys, and welcome back. Before I get started on my second episode, I want to give a shout out to my two boys, Liam and Evan, who provided the great artwork that you see in the background. This episode is going to be a little bit harder for me to do. The reason is I have really no memory of what happened, and I'm going off of what my wife, my mom, and my sister have told me and the medical documents that we were able to read. As you know, I arrived at the hospital Friday, November 15th. I was diagnosed with a bowel obstruction. I was admitted into the surgical ward with IV fluids. The next day, Shannon arrived and my mom went home. That afternoon, I got dramatically worse. I started vomiting later that evening, and I was vomiting so much that they had to put an NG tube in. For those of you that don't know what an NG tube is, it is one of the most unpleasant experiences that you'll ever have to go through. There is no sedation, there's nothing they can give you to make it any easier. They basically take a small tube, they stick it up one of your nostrils, all the way up as high as it goes until it loops down into your throat, and then they make you drink water out of a straw while they continue to push this tube up your nose as it goes down your throat all the way to the bottom of your stomach. The reason they do this is that way it controls that you don't vomit anymore and all the fluids just come out of the tube and it gives you relief from the vomiting experience. As the night went on, things just kept getting worse. The pain was just unbearable. The morphine that the nurses were giving me, it just wasn't working anymore. The night just got worse, and to be honest, I have very little memory from this point going forward. Early Sunday morning, I tried to get up to go pee, and I almost passed out. The nurses had to come and put me back to bed. My skin was turning a grayish color, the nurses were having trouble finding my blood pressure, and my heart rate was very high. I remember Shannon being very upset during this time and crying. One of Shannon's doctor friends was with us during this period, and that's when they rushed me down to the operating room where I would have my first surgery. I was taken to the ICU in a medically induced coma. I had a breathing tube, and I was on 2 medications to keep my blood pressure up. On Monday, November 18th, I took a turn for the worst. I had a fever of 104 Fahrenheit, my blood pressure had dropped, and my heart rate went up. I was in septic shock. My kidneys and liver were failing, and I was taken back to the operating room where they took 20 centimeters of dead bowel out of me. I was so unstable that the surgeon could not finish the surgery at that time. On Tuesday, November 19th at 1:30 a.m., my heart rate jumped to 200. The normal heart rate is around 60 to 100. The doctors had to use a defibrillator to shock my heart 3 times that night. On Tuesday evening, I was taken back to the OR for my third surgery. After my third surgery, I remained in a medically induced coma for the next 4 days. During this time, my kidneys stopped working, and I was put on dialysis. Just to recap, my first surgery was to repair my hernia and unkink the twisted bowel in my stomach. The second surgery was to take out 20 centimeters of dead bowel. My third surgery was to reattach my stoma and close the incision on my stomach. Many people have asked me if I had any dreams or any recollection of anything that happened to me when I was in my coma or when I was crashing and they had to use a defibrillator on my heart. I don't have any memory of this, and the dreams that I had were nothing to do with that ordeal that I was going through. Crazy story though. The night that they used the defibrillators on my heart was 1:30 in the morning. One of my best friends, Trish, told me later on that she was having a dream that night where we were walking in our old high school hallway, which was Eastdale, and she was wearing normal clothes, but I was in hospital scrubs. And we were walking down a hall together. There was nobody else in the room or in the hallway. And we were walking towards a light at the end of the hall. And as we got closer to this light, I turned to her and just screamed, "No." And she woke up out of a dream and she had looked at her clock and the time was about 1:34 in the morning. And from what we were told, around 1:30 is when they had shocked my heart. This story still gives me goosebumps today when I tell the story or even think about that. And that's really the only story that I have about my near-death experience. Please stay tuned for episode 3. If you think I've gone through a lot already, wait till you hear what happens next. For J. Roy's picks of the week, Netflix, Fire in Paradise, Crave, McMillions, Prime, Hunters, Apple TV, The Morning Show. Thanks for taking the time to watch my episodes, and please subscribe below.